Voice to the World, I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Indian government calls an all-party meeting on the Bangladesh issue. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar briefs the lawmakers on the emerging situation in Bangladesh. Indian President Draupadi Murmu receives Fiji's highest civilian award. She describes the honor as a reflection of the deep ties of friendship between India and Fiji. Iran says it doesn't want regional escalation but must punish Israel for the Hamas chief's bombing. US says all parties must refrain from escalation. Russian Security Council Secretary Sergei Shoigu in Tehran. And in sports, Indian men's hockey team will continue their quest for a place in the final after 44 years as they take on Germany in the semi-final clash at the Paris Olympics. In view of emerging situation in Bangladesh, the Indian government has convened an all-party meeting on Tuesday. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar briefed the leaders of various political parties on the ongoing developments in Bangladesh. He also briefed leaders about the steps taken by the Indian government to address the political, security, economic and diplomatic repercussions of this situation. Dr. Jaishankar thanked the leaders for their unanimous support. India's Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju also attended the meeting. All right, indeed, India's Jessica Taneja joins us to give more details on this. Hello, Jessica. After what all happened in Bangladesh, an all-party meeting was convened by the Indian government. Could you tell us what all happened in the meeting and were there some outcomes?
Well, yes, the all-party meeting did take place today in New Delhi in view of the Prime Minister of Sheikh Hasina of Bangladesh, who had resigned yesterday, and the situation, the way it's panned out, called for an urgent meeting between all lawmakers to brief them about the current situation and also brief them about the plans that the Indian government has with respect to its neighbor Bangladesh, with whom it's enjoyed ties not thought of any moment, not thought at any moment in the last 15 years. So, of course, a lot of explanation to do, but the outcomes yet not declared officially. Pardon me. What we're waiting for to see is on what the Indian government plans to do next when it comes to Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and what in terms of her whereabouts would look like. And what we do know so far is that all-party meeting was necessary. In fact, yesterday night, there was a cabinet committee on security also held by the Prime Minister, and that was crucial as well. So, of course, briefing the lawmakers, and after that, we were told that External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar had also met with Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi. So this meeting, of course, crucial at this point to determine what the relations of India would be with Bangladesh now that the immediate government comes in.
Okay, Jessica, we all saw those horrific visuals wherein the protesters barged in to the Prime Minister's residence and also the Parliament. Now, looking at all these things, what's the way forward when it comes to governing the country? And Jessica, any information on how is the situation there right now?
Well, the student leaders, and you heard them in the morning through video messages, had categorically declared that they would want the former Nobel laureate and also a man who's held a key office for the country, representing the country at the UN, Muhammad Yunus, to be a leader in charge of this entire protest right now and be able to be the advisor-in-chief. And with the meeting that they're scheduled to have with the army chief, Bakar Zaman would also be crucial to watch out for as to what the outcomes from that would be. Till now, the student leaders and the protesters who were at the helm of this had put forth a 9-point demand, and that perhaps seems to be now coming to surface again. One of them had been met with the resignation of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, and the rest, of course, calling in for arrest of those because of whom the students died and the injustice that the students had to see all through these weeks that have gone by, and the violence that we saw on the streets of not just Dhaka, but many parts of the country.
All right, thank you so much for that analysis, Jessica. We'll keep taking updates from you. Bangladesh President Mohammad Shahabuddin on Monday announced that an interim government would be formed as soon as possible after dissolving the national parliament. In a televised address to the nation, Bangladesh President said the decision was taken at a meeting with the leaders of different political parties, civil society representatives and other stakeholders. Chiefs of 3 forces were present at the meeting. The meeting also decided to free Bangladesh Nationalist Party chairperson Khaleda Zia and other political prisoners. The president also ordered the release of all students arrested during the ongoing protests. The Bangladesh president said the interim government would conduct the next general election as soon as possible to transfer power to an elected government. Meanwhile, in Dhaka, the leaders of the anti-discrimination student movement have proposed an interim government led by Nobel laureate Dr. Muhammad Yunus. Student leaders have confirmed that Muhammad Yunus has agreed to take on the responsibility. The 84-year-old Yunus and his Grameen Bank won the 2006 Nobel Peace Prize for work to lift millions out of poverty by granting tiny loans of under $100 to rural poor of Bangladesh. But he was indicted by a court in June on charges of embezzlement. Bangladesh's army chief Waqar-uz-Zaman will meet the representatives of the students and teachers on Tuesday as country awaits the formation of new government, a day after Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigned and left the country. Well, India is closely monitoring the developments in Bangladesh. The Border Security Force has issued a high alert to all units along the India-Bangladesh border following recent developments in the neighboring nation. In the wake of emerging situation, Air India on Monday cancelled the scheduled operation for flights to and from Dhaka with immediate effect and stated that they are continuously monitoring the situation. The United Nations has called for restraint and urged that formation of an interim government in the South Asia nation be democratic after Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigned and fled the country. UN Secretary General has urged calm and restraint by all sides and emphasized the importance of a peaceful, orderly and democratic transition.
Situation in the country very closely. We continue to call for calm and restraint and to urge all parties to respect the right to peaceful assembly and expression. We urge security forces to protect those out on the streets of Dhaka and other cities of Bangladesh. You'll have seen that the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, issued a statement yesterday in which he called for violence in the country to stop. He added that accountability for human rights violations, including for those with superior and command responsibility, is crucial. The international community must make it clear that at this pivotal time, there will be no impunity.
Amid growing concerns about the risk of an Iranian attack on Israel, US President Joe Biden held talks with his national security team on Monday. President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris were briefed by the national security team on the situation in West Asia, including threats posed by Iran and its proxies to Israel and US service members. They were also briefed about an attack on Iraq's Al-Assad air base on Monday and discussed the US response. Biden and Harris were also updated on US efforts to support Israeli military if it's attacked and diplomatic efforts to de-escalate regional tension and reach a ceasefire and hostage release deal in Gaza. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said escalation in the West Asia is not in anyone's interest. Blinken said that US was engaged in intense diplomacy to help calm tensions amid fears Iran is preparing a retaliatory strike against Israel. During a signing ceremony with his Australian counterpart in Washington, Blinken said all parties must refrain from escalation. Blinken, in his remarks, also called for parties to break the cycle of violence and agree a ceasefire in the Gaza conflict. The US Secretary of State said it is urgent that all parties make the right choices in the hours and days ahead. As tensions rise in West Asia, tens of thousands of foreign nationals are trying to leave Lebanon, following warnings from a number of embassies. With Iran and its proxies threatening to attack neighboring Israel, many international airlines have suspended their services to Lebanese capital Beirut, prompting a scramble from foreign nationals to try and secure a seat out. From Beirut, DD India's Trent Murray has more.
Well, there's been long lines at Beirut International Airport as tens of thousands of foreign nationals here heed their respective governments' advice and try to leave this country as concerns grow. It could be on the brink of seeing a major war. We know a number of embassies have issued urgent warnings for people to leave, but it's just not that simple because there's not that many airlines flying here anymore. Certainly the European carriers, the big ones like British Airways, Lufthansa, Air France have all suspended their services. There really is only a handful of airlines now left from the Middle East, including Qatar, Emirates, Egypt Air and Turkish that are still flying here. But for people trying to leave, securing a seat is very difficult. Demand is exceeding capacity. The flights are sold out for many days ahead, and they're also incredibly expensive. So we do know that there is some concern amongst Western governments in particular about what would happen if a conflict was to break out while people were still here and unable to leave. Back in 2006, when this country saw a war with Israel, then Beirut International Airport was bombed by the Israelis and was taken out of service. Given it's the only airport in the country, that left foreign governments with the difficult task of actually trying to evacuate people via the sea on ships and ferries to neighbouring Cyprus. Of course, we know some of that contingency planning is taking place right now. We can verify that based on what US and other officials are saying in different embassies, but they are hoping that it won't come to that. They're hoping that either tensions can be subsided or foreign nationals can get out still using commercial services. But it does really come at a time where tensions do still remain high. The rhetoric continues to be ratcheted up. And we know both Iran and Lebanon's based Hezbollah are continuing to send a strong signal that a big attack on Israel is still coming. Trent Murray for DD India, Beirut.
US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin spoke to Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant to reaffirm US commitment to Israel's defense from threats posed by Iran, Lebanese, Hezbollah and other Iran-aligned militia groups. Both the leaders agreed to attack from Iran-aligned militias on US forces stationed at Al-Assad Air Base in western Iraq marked a dangerous escalation. During the conversation, Austin updated Minister Gallant on measures to strengthen US military posture in light of this escalating situation. And Iran's president called for expanded relations with Russia as he spoke with a senior Russian official. Sergei Shoigu, the Secretary of Russia's Security Council, met Iran's president and top security officials as Tehran weighs its response to the killing of Hamas's political bureau chief, Ismail Haniyeh. Russia condemned the killing of Haniyeh and called on all parties to refrain from steps that could tip the West Asia into a wider regional war. Iran's president said that shared positions between Iran and Russia in promoting a multipolar world will certainly lead to greater global security and peace. US Democratic candidate Kamala Harris is expected to announce her vice presidential pick in the coming hours ahead of pair's first campaign rally. Harris has reportedly cut her pool of possible running mates down to just 2, as Nick Harper reports from Washington.
Well, we thought Monday was going to be the day when Vice President Kamala Harris announced her vice presidential pick. However, that was not the case, that announcement being pushed back to Tuesday. It's not clear still what form that announcement will take. Remember, when Joe Biden announced his vice president, Kamala Harris, back in 2000, he did it in an email that was quickly followed up by a video. And the thinking is that we could see something similar, an email to supporters, a video put on various social media platforms. But of course, all of that will come before the late Tuesday afternoon rally that Kamala Harris and her vice presidential pick will be holding in the city of Philadelphia in the important swing state of Pennsylvania. Now, it seems as if her cast of about 6 or 7 candidates has now been whittled down to just 2. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Tim Walz, the Minnesota governor. Those seem to be the final 2 in contention. We know that they had meetings with Kamala Harris, interviews over the course of the weekend at her private residence in Washington, D.C., and it really is now a wait-and-see situation. We know that after that rally on Tuesday, the 2 of them will then embark on a tour of about 6 or 7 other swing states, the likes of Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, all places that could make or break her chances of winning the election in November. So a crucial decision ahead. It's still not clear if she has finally made it or if that's something that she'll come to the decision on Tuesday morning ahead of informing the public of who she wants to be her running mate for the 2024 election. Nick Harper in Washington reporting for DD India.
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. India to host the first BIMSTEC Business Summit in the national capital to foster greater regional collaboration through robust trade and investment. The Indian Air Force hosts the first phase of Tarang Shakti, a multinational exercise. A US judge ruled that Google violated antitrust law. Stay with us to know the entire matter.
We have with us shooter Arjun Babuta. You ended 4th in this edition of Paris Games. What do you have to say about your performance?
I just finished 4th and it is very close to the medal pace, but overall I try my best and I'm proud of it. I belong to a middle class family and it was very challenging for us to get all these expensive equipments and to maintain those expenses. I'm very thankful to TOPS for all this, and it played a big role in my success.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Fiji Prime Minister Sitiveni Rabuka of Fiji called on India's President Draupadi Murmu in capital Suva. Both leaders held wide-ranging discussions and agreed to build upon the historic ties and strengthen the partnership between the two countries. President Murmu and Fiji PM also presided over a ceremony of handing over documents for allocation of project sites for High Commission of India Chancery and Indian Cultural Centre complex in Suva and a 100-bed super speciality hospital in Fiji's capital. India's President Draupadi Murmu addressed the Parliament of Fiji on Tuesday, highlighting strong relations between India and Fiji. President Murmu said India is ready to engage with Fiji on all fronts.
10 years ago, speaking in this same hall, Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, had underlined some basic values that unite India and Fiji. These include our democracy, the diversity of our societies, our creed that all human beings are equal, and our commitment to the liberty, dignity, and rights of every individual. These shared values are eternal and shall continue to guide us ahead.
As India completes 75 years of diplomatic relations with Fiji, President Murmu praised the high level of engagement between the two countries.
As we celebrate the 75 years of India's diplomatic presence in Fiji, I am pleased to see the strong growth in our high-level engagements, development projects, and our people-centric activities. In the last 18 months alone, 15 ministerial level visits have taken place on both the sides. The historic meeting of both our prime ministers in May 2023 during the FIPIC 3 summit has given new energy and direction to our bilateral ties.
President Murmu further reiterated both countries' commitment to fight against climate change and to work towards sustainable development.
We are also conscious of the many serious challenges common to us, the foremost one being the fight against climate change and the rise in sea level, which is a threat to many ocean states. Under our G20 presidency last year, we have high priority to the two topics of sustainable development and climate change. We made One Earth, One Family, One Future the theme of our G20 presidency.
India's President Draupadi Murmu praised Indian diaspora during her address in a community reception in Suva, Fiji today. India's President Murmu reiterated that Indian diaspora in Fiji has significantly contributed to the development of Fiji and the Pacific region.
अपने दोनों देशों के बीच मित्रता को मजबूत करने की प्रक्रिया में एक जीवंत पुल, लिविंग ब्रिज के रूप में भूमिका निभाई है। जहां भारतीय प्रवासियों ने लगभग हर देश में अपनी छाप छोड़ी है, वही फिजी में आपकी असाधारण यात्रा विशेष रूप से दुनिया के लिए महान प्रेरणा का स्रोत है।
Fiji President conferred the Companion of the Order of Fiji upon President of India Draupadi Murmu on Tuesday. This is the highest civilian award of Fiji. President Murmu said that this honor is a reflection of the deep ties of friendship between India and Fiji. This is the first visit by an Indian head of state to the archipelago nation. India's President Draupadi Murmu paid her respects at the National War Memorial in Suva, Fiji. President paid tributes to the brave souls who sacrificed their lives for their nation and for humanity at large. India will host the first Bay of Bengal initiative for multi-sectoral technical and economic cooperation business summit in the national capital on Tuesday. The business summit will be inaugurated by India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. The first edition of the Business Summit aims to foster greater regional collaboration through robust trade and investment relations among the member countries of the BIMSTEC. The event will bring together more than 300 key stakeholders from across the Bay of Bengal region to facilitate economic collaboration and explore ways ahead in focus areas such as trade facilitation, regional connectivity, energy security, inclusive growth and sustainable development. India is hosting its first multinational air exercise Tarang Shakti 2024 from Tuesday in southern state of Tamil Nadu. In the exercise, nearly 30 countries are participating, and out of 30, 10 countries will join the exercise with their fighter aircraft. The exercise is being conducted in two phases, which aims to showcase India's defense prowess and provide a platform for participating militaries to foster interoperability. Well, on to business now. A US judge has ruled Google acted illegally to crush its competition and maintain a monopoly on online search and related advertising. The landmark decision on Monday is a major blow to Alphabet, Google's parent company, and could reshape how technology giants do business. Google was sued by US Department of Justice in 2020 over its control of about 90% of online search market. It is one of several lawsuits that have been filed against the big tech companies as US antitrust authorities attempt to strengthen competition in the industry. It is unclear what penalties Google and Alphabet will face as a result of the decision. The fines or other remedies will be decided in a future hearing. And now to all the updates from the Paris Olympics. The Indian contingent will hope to turn things in their favour with a packed schedule lined up on Tuesday. Men's table tennis team will start the proceedings of the day with their round of 16 game, while Neeraj Chopra will also be in action in men's javelin qualification event. DD India's Narayan Singh has more from Paris.
A new day starts with a new hope for the Indian contingent at the Paris Olympics, and Neeraj Chopra along with Kishore Kumar Jaina will begin their campaign with qualification in the men's javelin throw event at the Paris Games. Neeraj will be hoping once again for a one-and-done show. All athletes meeting the qualification standard of the 84-meter or at least 12 best performers advance to the final. After Kishore and Neeraj's Asian Games 1-2 finish, both will be hoping to reach the final in the Paris together again. While Kishore has struggled for the form, Neeraj enters the field as one of the contenders again. So hope both of them will perform their best in this Paris Games tournament. Talking about hockey, it will be Germany versus India, the rematch of the bronze medal contest that India won famously in the Tokyo Games. Harmanpreet Singh's men take on reigning world champions in Germany, what promises to be another tough contest. India will be without the suspended Amit Rohidas. So it's going to be, we can say, a tough match, but India played fantastic hockey throughout the tournament. Talking about wrestling, in the 50 kg category, Vinesh Fogart will be there, and she has endured a tough, heartbreaking Olympic campaigns in the past, but managed to qualify for the Paris by going down to the 50 kg. But she faces a massive test against the defending champion. Now talking about the table tennis, Manika Batra and company began their campaign with a 3-2 win against Romania to reach quarterfinal, but the men's team face a huge task to follow the suit as they begin their campaign against mighty Chinese team. So we are hoping that today Indian team will continue, we can say the Neeraj Chopra especially, and with Kishore Jaina, the good work done by them in the Asian Games here, and other athletes will also do some good work so that India can increase their medal tally in the Paris Games.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.